So this weekend live on talkSPORT, we had the last dance between Derek Chisora and Otto Wallin. How do you see this one playing out, Spence?
It's a good fight, to be fair. You know, they're both at that stage of their career. I think Derek Chisora has been a great ambassador for, you know, British boxing, heavyweight boxing. He's an entertainer. I think that, you know, that he shows a lot of character in the ring as well. He calls it the last dance. I think it's the last dance here, but I believe there's one more left. This is his 49th fight. I believe he wants to get to 50. Where that happens, does it happen out in Saudi Arabia? Is that his farewell party? But yeah, for sure, it's going to happen here. Good fight, real good fight. Otto Wallin's one of those guys, southpaw, can be tricky if he gets into any sort of rhythm. But Derek Chisora also is one of those guys that likes to break the space down and close the fight. So who can utilise their skills the most, I suppose, Barry? Who comes out on top in this one?
Yeah. You know something? Derek Chisora has had the longest career, the most opportunities in television. He's one of those enigmatic characters that are hard to predict. And not just that, not just from a personality perspective, but actually physically. He's 41 years old. Yeah. I mean, he's still going, he's still strong, he's still assertive, he's still a threat to these guys. I think he beats Wallin, and depending on how impressively he beats him, if he gets him out of there, could be putting himself in a position for another title fight.
Where are you on...
World title fight.
Where are you on Derek Chisora? Because there's always this campaign about Derek, given the nature of the fights that he's been in and the wars, and given the moniker that he goes with, and knowing your background, Barry, and the thought processes you have about boxers and their well-being and the support that you wanted to put in once upon a time with the Professional Boxers Association and the ideals that you have there. Where are you on Chisora and the length of his career and the fights he's putting himself in?
You see, just going back to the last part about Vladimir Klitschko, I hate that. I just hate guys coming back and fighting when, you know, they've had an amazing reputation and want to come back and spoil it all by fighting somebody younger and getting beaten and getting hammered and you know, besmirching their records. Now, I know Derek's not retired. he's gone on, and there's question mark whether he should have retired. He's a really, you know, as I say, he's a really incredible personality.
Endearing as well.
Very endearing at times and can be violent at other times. And very hard to predict. But he can fight. And I like the fact that he hasn't given up. And that when he does give up, I hope he stops for good. But, you know, I just think how much is left in him, you know, Spence?
Yeah.
How much has he got left? How much of the fire in his belly does he still have left? I know he says it, but it's money and it's an opportunity.
Yeah, that's where I was going, Simon.
If he wins this fight,
I know he beats Joyce and everything else, but that's and I did say at the start, it throws him into an opportunity to fight for the world title.
But do you think this campaign that gets regularly touted around Derek Chisora because of the manner in which he fights, the fights that he's been in, do you from a boxing optic point of view, do you look at it and go, 50 fights for a heavyweight, the kind of fights that these guys are in, the challenges, the fact that we've got every other sport in the world getting worried about CTE and dementia and stuff like this, and it never seems to find its way into boxing? Yeah,
I mean, that is always the biggest concern for me, you know, pugilistic dementia, you know, later in life and all that sort of stuff, carrying on too long. But I go back to the point I made earlier. He didn't stop and go away for 3 or 4 years and then decide to come back. Now, he's fighting irregularly these days, but he's still in with a chance. I think he beats Wallin. I think he can overwhelm and stop him. And if he does, he can get a shot at the world title again. And, you know, and then I hope he'd be able to say, well, now I can walk away from it. But it does worry me that guys go on too long. It's not good for not just them, but it's not good for the sport.
No, that's my point.
I think he's accepted that 50 he's going to bail out. I've spoken to him off record about that, and, you know, he recognises...
Are you close to him, Spence?
Yeah, very close to him. Yeah, very close to him. I speak to him regularly, Derek, and he knows what it is. And I'll tell you something, coming into this fight, there's going to be a lot of emotion going up there against Otto Wallin because he recognises it's the last time he's going to fight in Britain, and it will be the last time.
Yeah.
You know, and as you know, fighters are very emotional and they're very, you know, fragile at this stage of their career. With Derek, he's one of those guys, because life without boxing for Derek is going to be very difficult. You know, when he loses that identity as a boxer and just going back into, you know, fitting back into life as a normal civilian, Derek, that's what he's going to struggle with.
But I was also going to ask you about the impact of personalities being lost from the sport. I mean, 2 of the best interviews I've done on the upfront was him, Barry McGuigan, and Derek Chisora.
Yeah.
And the personality of... You're welcome, mate. The personality of the heavyweight division is often defined by fury, by Joshua, to a lesser degree by Chisora, but notwithstanding that, he's a very personable and very much liked and regarded heavyweight for a variety of different reasons. When these guys hang up their gloves, which is going to be relatively, within the next 18 months, I suspect we're going to see no more Fury, no more Joshua, and definitely, I suspect, no more Chisora.
Yeah.
Do you worry then that there's a vacuum of personality in the heavyweight division?
No.
Despite the fact that Usyk's brilliant, you know, he's not a showman, is he?
Yeah. No, he's not. He's not. I mean, Usyk is not a showman, of course, and Derek is. And Derek is a very interesting character, deep, hard to predict, very unpredictable from a personality point of view. He turns up one day and he's a different Derek, and then the next day he's calm and jovial and conversational.
Do you worry about? I mean, it's the marquee division.
Yeah.
It gets all the news, and sometimes it shouldn't, because sometimes the better fights are in other divisions.
Yeah.
But do you think when we lose these personalities,
No.
No.
I think the country is full of promising young heavyweights, and they're all coming through. And I think even if it wasn't the case, Simon, you have a time to stop. You have a shelf life, and when you exceed that shelf life, give up, because it's the damage that's done. The worries and concerns I have is later in life, because if you then start, slurring your speech and all of that sort of stuff, it's not just a bad advertisement for you, it's a bad advertisement for boxing.
Business,
I think these talents always emerge as well. Like you say, Barry, I think the gyms now are polluted with young kids that are inspiring to be the next Anthony Joshua or the next Tyson Fury.
Well, not polluted.
No, polluted. No, polluted.
Too many?
Polluted, too many, yeah.
No.
You go Finchley Boxing Club, and it is like absolutely packed.
That's good.
That is
male,
great.
female.
That's a great thing.
It's a great thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. But what happens with that situation, anyway. Over a period of time, that all filters out, and the good guys stay.
Absolutely.
And the guys that are not really serious about it fall away.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the talent will emerge and the talent will come through.
Whoever wins this fight, and let's, ruminate that possibly.
We've been talking about a load of fights, so which one are you talking about
Wallin
specifically?
and Chisora.
Okay.
Either one of these going to be a likely target for someone like Moses Atuma? Say specifically Wallin.
I think the winner possibly boxes Moses next. I think that may be that might be the fight that happens out in Saudi.
Yeah.
As what I'm saying is Derek Chisora, right? It might be set up for Derek to come through this one. We all agree that we believe Derek will come through this one. And that might be the fight. Derek's number 50 out in Saudi against the young gun looking to take the baton.
Do you want that for Chisora?
No, I don't. Listen, I've been honest.
Moses Atuma for Derek Chisora.
I've been honest with Derek that I've wanted him to retire a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
After he lost to Joseph Parker, when he went out and it was a gladiatorial performance, and I went there and I texted him the following morning saying, "You've been brilliant, mate, but come on, enough's enough." He said his answer to me was...
Can you actually say that to him?
I actually did, yeah. I'm good friends with Derek. I've known him since he was a kid. And he said, do you know what his answer to me was? Was you entertained? And I went, very entertained. He went, did you enjoy the fight? Did I put up a good fight? And he went, brilliant. He went, there's your answer. He said, until I get that. And I said, I can't argue
else
with it.
just shut up.
I can't argue
Mind
with
your
it.
own business.
Yeah.
Where are you on Atuma? I mean, obviously...
Atuma's great.
Yeah.
We've had him in the gym a few times. He's sparred a lot with Daniel Dubois. Exciting, fast, bangs hard. One question is stamina. That's the one question.
Really?
No. I'm not saying he showed it in the sparring sessions. No, because what happens? He would jump in for 2 rounds and then jump out, or 3 rounds and then get out. So they're clever enough not to put him in and leave him in too long. He's only a baby, so they have to do that.
There must be 2 questions, mustn't it? There must be the question you just raised, which is stamina, and the other one is, can he take a shot?
Yeah.
Because no one's. From what I've seen,
nobody's hit him so far. So I think his kryptonite's going to be Martin Bacoli.
Also, listen, we've got to remember...
That's a very tough fight for him, because he takes such a great
they're not
shot.
Put him in
Not now,
soon,
but I just think down the line, I think Atuma can go right to the top. I think he wins the world heavyweight title.
There's a lot of noise about this kid.
No, he is
the real deal.
He is the business. Believe me, he's really, really good, and he's a southpaw, and provided he works harder. And as well as I do, Spence, some of these guys, you're in the gym and you empty the tank, and you look across and they're not emptying the tank, and then you think, does he really properly understand what it takes to really empty it and go back and back? Because the only way to build stamina is to go to the nth degree, exhaust yourself, then suck it up and come back again and do it again. That's the only way. And that's what you do with kids. You give them 6 rounds, you give them 8 rounds, and then you give them 10 rounds. And then you look at them and you think, he says, can I get out now? No. You got to stay in, son. You got another 2 to do. And they're whacked.
The difficulty is matching this fella because he keeps on knocking everybody out.
But that's what I'm saying. But he does loads of rounds of sparring. That's the thing. So he has to. And anybody who's working with him, and I know, I'm not sure of the guy that's he's training with completely. Is it young Davidson? Is it?
Yeah, Ben Davidson.
So I don't know about whether or not they can get the rounds, because that's the issue. It's actually getting guys to take his shots, and sometimes they just don't want it. You know?
And to answer the question about whether he can take a shot, you go, listen, you know the stories with him sparring with Daniel Dubois and all the top heavyweights that are out there right now. They're not light spars, them. They go at it and they go toe-to-toe. And so the answer to the question is, yeah, he probably can take the shot. And I think it's all about with him developing, maturing. And you're right, Barry, being in that fight where he has to question himself and ask himself questions during that fight. That's when we find out.
The biggest thing for a young, progressive fighter is this. When you're blowing out your arse after 8, 9, 10 rounds of sparring and the coach says you're doing another 2, and you go, no, I can't. No, you're doing another 2, son. That's when you find out about what guys are made of. And that's it. It's as simple as that. And because, the reason we do that is because when they get into fight, that's going to happen.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. When they fight a Mexican or an Argentinian, you hit them with everything. And they're blowing out their arse, and then 10 rounds come in, and then you got another 2 to do something. They go, oh my God.